Hello, my darlings, and my dears. I hope you are having beautiful, blessed days today. We're having an interesting talk today, and as the title of the video states, we're in a time of, this is the end of therapy. Is that what I called it? Yes, the end of therapy. I had originally wanted to call it like the rise of wisdom and things like that, but you know, spiritual counselors, mystics, healers, tarot readers, astrologers have been around for a very long time. And right now, during the awakening, we're all coming to be in a way that, how do I say? We had been an integral part of the societies. We had been the ones that you wouldn't make decisions. And in certain cultures, that's still very true, that a lot of people, and if you have this language, you don't make decisions without checking your astrological chart or the chart for your company, corporations. You don't sign deals while Mercury is in retrograde. You kind of follow the woo-woo and you understand the flows and the cycles of this world. But right now, I wanted to highlight the fact that traditional therapy has had its time. And I'll give a few of these are all my opinions, my channels, my downloads, my information. So I am not trying to tell you what to do. If this resonates with you, absolutely, then this information is for you. If not, if you are on a different timeline in a different time and space, I don't in any way want to fight you, my dear. You can scroll right past this video. That's okie dokie. But I'll give a little bit of validation for why I have this opinion, why I received this channel and this download, and how, again, the rise of wisdom is the way of the world. So please go grab your coffee or tea. We're gonna have a chit chat. I have some espresso. It's a little chilly at this point. I've been recording for a few hours, and I have some water as well. So please go grab your things, go grab your journal if you'd like to take some notes, and I'll use the smoky quartz to kind of pause the video. Go ahead and pause the video. Go ahead. Yeah, I'm seeing green. Very, very cool. Very, very cool and interesting. So I have a few different videos that, first of all, if we have not met, hi, my name is Sarah. I am a mystic, a spiritual counselor, a healer. I utilize astrology and tarot to help you make sense of a little bit of what's going on in the world. And I come from corporate and training teams and speak personal growth and development, as well as leadership and all that, unpacking and things like that. So that is the amalgamation of me. And so you kind of usually meet me when you've been on the merry-go-round of doing the same thing that your parents did, that your generation did, that everybody did, and you just kind of get to this fork in the road of like, I'm exhausted and miserable and I don't want to repeating those same patterns. That's when you meet me. Hi. And really, I help you whittle new tools to put into your toolbox to help you navigate certain uncertainty and kind of get you back on your most authentic timeline. That's what I'm here for. And so when it comes to therapy, the foundation of therapy is, there's something wrong with me mentally. That's usually, when I was put into therapy as a kiddo, my parents didn't know what to do with an empathetic, spiritual, telepathic child. Had no frickin' clue what to do. I was probably one of the first light workers. It's coming out in a way that my family is now very, very stepping into their angelic wisdom. And, I saw my birth mother for the first time in a long time just the other day. And to hear her utilize a phrase like, yeah, I was kind of concerned, but then I checked in with my guides and they just said, lead with love. I was like, she's in her 60s, yes. So there is no, you can't teach an old dog new tricks type of a thing. You can be a good person and speak from I statements at any point in time in your life. So, didn't know what to do with me. There's obviously something wrong with Sarah, so let's put her in therapy. And so at the time, the pages of the DSM-5, it was, I'm experiencing anxiety, experienced depression. Now was the adult child of alcoholic parents. I had an eating disorder. I was bulimic for the better part of 10 years, had childhood sexual traumas that parlayed over into adult sexual traumas, past life sexual traumas, all these different things, a multidimensional being, fully having her awakening, and now stepping into her sovereignty. Yeah. Any rabbit hole, any path, I've gone down them to come back to tell the tale. So, at that time when I was put into therapy and I was a child and I would talk about what I was going through and I would, share my experiences and my knowledge and what I was doing. And, my first therapist, I made her cry on a regular basis. And looking back in hindsight, she was in no way qualified to handle any of the things that I was experiencing. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. What I think happened in hindsight is that, this is a person who is an intellectual. She's smart. She's book smart. She's been to school. She knows a thing or two about a thing or two. And I can help anybody. I just need more information from you. I just need to study you more. I need to study you more, and then I'll be able to help you. I need to study what you're going through. I need to see you again next week. I need to see you again next week. I need to see you again next week. With no tools. I was given no tools. I'd be reading my journal, reading my spoken word poetry as a child, being, can you hear my silent screams? Okay, honey, I'll see you next week, okay? It's like I was helping her more than anything. And so, other therapists that I've had at different times, I was trying to think. When I was dating my second ex-fiance, was bulimic, I was smoking cigarettes. My second ex-fiance was a verbally abusive narcissist. And so I was put into therapy again at that time. And there would be days that was the only place that I was safe. Like I'd try to cancel sessions and she'd be like, I don't think that that's a good idea. You are in a room that's on fire on a regular basis and sharing a car with the person who's actively lighting you on fire. So maybe still come to therapy. And again, it was only this little safe space. I wasn't given as many accessible tools. The focus that we had at that time, I was working in the service industry, was to get a managerial title and to be, on the feminist woke track of you just need a job and then everything will be fine. You just need a better job than this. Because my self-worth at that time, my moon is in Capricorn, was attached to the title. Again, intuition, very masculine. At the end of the day, I just needed my parents to love me and for us to all be in therapy together or be unpacking these things together. But I didn't have that language at the time. I was just doing what I was told. And so we focused on me getting a title, which didn't in any way change the fact that I was constantly still bulimic and that I was still in that relationship. Then after I was in the job that the first therapist had recommended and helped me get, was one of the most high-powered positions that I've had, but also the most toxic. I had a therapist at that time that myself, the operations manager, the human resources manager, as well as the marketing director were all seeing the same therapist at the same time. Super healthy environment, natural food market, yeah. And that therapist had called it a cult. He's like, once you get to the center, it is rotten at the core. But that person, probably liked the fact that they had so many people and they could try to help them. I was not given any tools. It was basically just like a gossip every time we got together. Like, so this is what's going on now. You'll never believe what the owner did. You'll never believe. Same. Remember what we talked about last time? They're doing it again. They're doing it again. Not given any tools. We're chatting about other people. I'm chatting, like the man's on the phone or he's, dealing with another client or his dog's in the room, something's going on. We're literally not talking about me. We're talking about the gossip of the environment that I'm in. Giving no tools whatsoever to better myself. No tools whatsoever to develop and to leave the situation. Two therapists were like, no, as long as you got the title, all's well. All's well. I'm like, I'm bleeding from the ears and everything's falling apart and I'm in a verbally abusive narcissistic relationship. I'm throwing everything up that I eat and I can't protect my team from these really intense owners. Like, it's maybe leave the environment, maybe start to work on yourself, maybe start to meditate, maybe start to speak from I statements, because it's no one else's fault. You're all so fucked up. You're all so fucked up. Then leave the room, girl. Let them be fucked up. Leave the room. Leave the room. And so the more I went down these roads and the more I, was in, the last therapist that I had. I had actually, with that therapist, I had canceled a session with a 24-hour notice, but because I didn't, he didn't get the message, he called and yelled at me, screamed at me. He's like, I have so many people that should be able to be here, and you couldn't even tell, screamed at me, literally screamed at me. But, he's an older dude and he's a man, so obviously he's allowed to, yell at young people, and that's safe and fine. Very well decorated therapist, by the way. Very, very well respected and decorated therapist. The last therapist that I saw was, we had one session, and it was after my stepmother had sexualized me, and I was trying to, my father had said, hey, I'm going to pay for you to go see this therapist. And maybe eventually we'll go to therapy together. It had been a lie. My sisters had coerced him to lie to me just to get me into therapy. There was no actual father-daughter therapy that was in any way going to be entertained. But the therapist after that one session had said, maybe your stepmother was just jealous, and, asking you to expose yourself to her might not have been the worst thing. You might be kind of making some of this up. So those are just my personal experiences with therapy. I'm sure that there are a lot of really great therapists out there that will give you tools to help yourself. Now I want to parlay over into why this is the end of therapy. And in my opinion, I might do a whole video on why the intellectuals will be the hardest nut to crack. But so now I'm going to step into the mind of the actual therapist. So I went to school, educated myself. I want to be helpful. I want to help people. I'm curious about the human mind and human behavior. I personally find humans so fascinating, and the way that our brains, these muscles, these figuring out machines, these history that it's just wild and so cuckoo pants cool to see that. So goes to school to become a therapist, put the letters after their last name, has gone through an incredible amount of education, so you have a gargantuan amount of student loan debt. And you recognize that your worth is equated to, how many clients do I have? I don't know if it's how I can help people, because in that industry, if you help someone and you heal them, you don't have a client anymore, you lose money. Same thing in the medical industry. It's an industry. If you're a healthy person, you're not helping pay their bills. So if you have a healthy client, someone that comes in just for a few sessions and doesn't need you anymore, you're losing money. I mean, you obviously profited and you've helped someone, but you're not paying off your student loan debts, and you're not actually doing things, you're not giving tools. So with that knowledge, whether it's conscious or unconscious, you want to have your client for as long as you have them. Even the healer that I see now, she's like, if you are not drastically different between each time that I see you, I'm not the healer for you. In my own practice, I can never discredit if I have one session with someone. I pack so much into my sessions, and we record them and I send them along. So a full hour of unpacking why you are the way you are and how you're being affected by the planets of the here and now, and what it is that you need to do to get back on your most authentic timeline is usually a hefty nugget. A hefty nugget. I had a reading that I had recorded for someone and did not know the person just based on the astrological chart alone. And they had requested ahead of time, I really I'm looking at my love life. I'm looking at, why relationships aren't really working and slapping in the way that I want them to. And, maybe business is going a certain way. And I just kind of feel like I'm on this loop. And really it's look at your parental issues, look at your father issues. So I think there was a Saturn placement, or there was something what happened? What happened? Because that trauma, whether it's be capital T or baby T, whatever it happened, and it was based on the astrological chart alone. So you don't have to tell me what happened. It's built into your chart. And it's like whatever happens at this kind of specific time period is affecting every single thing. It's like the droplet of ink in the clear water that is clouding everything. And so once you deal with the root issue, everything else will start to clear up. But you have to go to the root. You have to go to the trauma with a capital T moment, or even the acknowledgement that my parents do not have emotional maturity or understanding, and maybe my mother was in her divine masculine and my father was completely emasculated. They didn't have the proper pairing, so that I was very confused growing up, and now I resent women and I'm attracted to men that are like my father, very Freudian, and I don't understand why. The reason why is because your parents were mixed up within their divinity and their masculinity and their femininity. Just looking at that reality and just looking at the fact that your foundations are mixed wired and that your solid foundation was put on sand. That's scary stuff. And that's so much to be like, okay, so everything that I've ever known is wrong, and the way that I have been taught that I'm supposed to act in this world is all wrong, and that it'll lead me towards misery. Yeah. That's one session. That was one session. And she was so grateful and loved, was really, that was intense, and was like, I have a lot of great work to do. But again, that is the center. That's the main issue. And if you do not address the main issue, then you can go off and you will find, oh my God, this person reminds me of my birth father. Oh my God, this person reminds me of my sibling. Oh my God, this person reminds me of that really narcissistic ex that I really hated and that almost destroyed my life. But yeah, we're going to move in together next week. You can displace this work as long as you want. You can displace looking at these foundational issues as long as you want. You can, leave this human body and then just come back on the karmic wheel next time around. That is an option, and that is the way of therapy. You can talk about these issues in those sessions as long as you want. But if you are not given accessible tools to change the way you act in those moments, nothing will be different. If you are constantly sitting down on that sofa saying, this person, oh, my mother again did this, my mother again did this. Well, how are you showing up differently? How are you setting a boundary? How are you not entertaining that anymore? How are you changing the way that you act in those moments? Because that's what your healer, that's what your astrologer, that's what your tarot reader, that's what your wise being is showing you. You also have your unseen friends, your ancestors, your team that comes into the session that says it is not one human person that can give you the only advice. You have all of your ancestors, all of this gene, all of the magic inside of you to be able to change. Your ancestors are looking down on you in awe. Saying, you're alive in 2023 right now? I know I was a Viking king or a queen, priestess, whatever, but holy God, that's what tools of mine do you need? What magical ancestral blessing do you need? Because this is efficient. Once you start looking at this, you can't undo it. You can't, once you leave the river Styx, you can't go back to the human world. You got to stay the course. So I wanted to, because this is something that is also becoming more mainstream, this knowledge. There's a gal that I've worked with before at the restaurant, and she's so lovely. She's got such a thick Boston accent, and she's like, Sarah, I heard on NPR the other day, or it might not have been NPR, but I'm going to use NPR because it's so nice to say NPR. She's like, I heard on the radio the other day on NPR that, people are talking about how people like you are the new way. And she goes, I have a friend, she's a therapist, and she is booked from morning until night. She's got 12, 13 hours of clients every day. But every night she's out just drinking and doing, she's having fun. And she's doing these sessions hungover, miserable. But that's how she pays her bills. That's a gargantuan, that's a mortgage payment, the amount of school and student loans that these people have. And they don't have a choice to be able to do what it is that brings their soul love and effervescence. Like when you want to be of service, it's pure, it's authentic. Like I had been almost homeless. And I'm putting together like, okay, I know I just went through this, so let me put together a program for someone. And hopefully that what I just went through months prior can be helpful for someone. That's being of service because my soul is here to help. I have to accept that if my human avatar, Sarah, perishes from this earth before any of this information finds you, I'm putting it out publicly so you have it. Because my soul is here to be helpful. Not, I needed a title to impress my parents, to make me worthy of their love. And now maybe, what if you didn't want to do it? An old friend of mine was going to school to be a physical therapist. And most of the way into his education, he's like, it was not the path for him. But because of the parents and all of these issues and all of these things and all these expectations, and like, you're the poster child, you're the one, you're the smart one, you're the smart one. It takes a lot for an intellectual to leave that intellectual path and say, that's not for me. Because you know that it's the parents' friends, it's the parents being like, yeah, they're a therapist, they're gonna be a doctor. Yeah, my kid's a doctor. Your parents, you're worthy, my friend, of being loved, whether you're homeless or penniless or jobless. As a being on this planet, you're worthy of love. We gotta pick ourselves up sometimes and pivot, change direction. So my advice to you is try on a session with a healer, with a tarot reader, with an astrologer. Get your birth chart read. Truly. And you'll understand the real you. It's all there. Every single pain, you can even look at, it was 2222 when I said that, every single pain, every single win, your soul's calling, all of the different things, the way that the world perceives you, the way that you perceive yourself, all of it is built in. And the second that you were born, that chart was cast. The second you were born. And in that moment, I could have pulled up, because astrology is just math, history, and patterns going back and forward. I could have pulled up the second you were born. Okay, let me rephrase. I'll use I statements. So March 23rd, 1987, I was born. In that moment, I could have pulled up the planets of what's today, 17th of November, 2023, and I could have overlaid that transiting planet over my natal chart to see exactly what I'm going through right now. Exactly. My spiritual awakening, beginning January of 2020, the conjunction of Saturn and Pluto in the side of Capricorn happened 1 degree off by conjunction on my natal moon. That was the conjunction that started the pandemic that closed down the world. So that was the macro to my micro of the way it happened in my third house of communication. The way I communicate is forever expanded, forever changed and different, forever. And that conjunction happened at some point in your chart. I was a tarot reader. I love doing blind readings, and I was the tarot reader at a wedding last month. And it was on the new moon eclipse. It was a really exciting day. And what I loved was that I, lost count at like 13, 14 readings. I did, back to back within a few hours. And it was a beautiful, beautiful day. And so I'd have people that were coming over, and, it's a wedding. We're having fun. I'm literally right next to the stage. I'm playing that funky music, white boy. And I'm like this, and just having a good time. And they come over, and they're just like, oh, are you going to tell me when I'm going to die? What's going to happen? And then they start pulling cards, and they pull things out. I was like, no, but why is, your mother in the bedroom? What's going on? What's going on? It looks like you've taken some time off of work, or I need you to be away from work for a little while. What's going on? What's happening here? Yeah. Or, I did readings for kiddos, and all of them are as anxious as can be because their teachers are very confused. Their teachers, just like the therapists, are very confused. And when it comes to the intellectuals, it's like I can see it and I can touch it, so it's real. I can't blend astrology. I can't blend woo-woo. I can't blend, someone who is using a Ouija board. We don't use Ouija boards around here. No, I don't play in the darkness. Absolutely not. No, thank you. I've been jumped. I'm fine. I stay in the light. And I will happily give the card to my healer. She dances in the darkness and just does soul extractions and stuff like that. So it's a beautiful thing. We all have our skill sets. Like, I come from corporate and kind of help you not sell your soul. So, the end of therapy and the rise of wisdom. Give it a try. Get your birth chart read. See what's in there. See what's up. Prove me wrong. Because if you are seeing the same therapist over and over and over again and nothing in your life is changing and you're talking about the same situation, A, you're paying their bills for them, and B, they have absolutely no idea how to help you. They would have told you in session 1. It is really, the second I open a birth chart, and even looking at your sun, moon, and rising, random people at the restaurant, if you show me your grid, you show me the circle, I can just, okay, this is it. You're overly sexual here. You're displacing your emotions here. Mother, father, she's here. This is your legacy. This is what you're meant to be doing. It's all built in. It's not woo-woo. It's that JP Morgan quote that millionaires don't follow astrology, but billionaires do. And when you have been in therapy for so long, you really have been instructed to label your trauma on your lapel and say, I'm this way because of this. And you have to entertain my psychosis. Yeah, you have to entertain my psychosis. Yeah. Oh no, I have brazen father issues, brazen mother issues, and I'm not connecting to them. No, they, them pronouns, please. I've been there. I have a whole series, Waking Up Post-Woke. It's the 20s, 30s, and beyond. That would be the one I would highlight, or the introductory video. Watch all of them. I've been there. And the more I needed to deal with my parental issues, the more masculine I was presenting to be. And as someone who does this work and does very telepathic work, looked into the eyes of people that are in a very, very genderqueer space, and all that is showing through is their inner child just screaming for a hug, screaming for love and attention. And what I find is that these parents, to placate their children, are saying, whatever you want to be called, I'll call you that because I love you. You're worthy of love. But they're really just trying to navigate this with massive amounts of confusion. The parents so many times are in a financial fear space. That's how it's happening. That's why the manipulation is going on. When you are in a place of financial fear, you make brazenly inappropriate decisions. Look at OF. Truly. The amount of money that these people are making is absurd, but the amount of shame that is going to come from that. You can be in the nicest room, in the tallest tower, in the most beautiful space, but if you aren't doing your inner work, I wouldn't wish that mental space on my worst enemy. I wouldn't. We are all worthy of love and abundance and wealth and validation all over the place. And I want to highlight that sometimes doing the work with your parents is going no contact with them. Sometimes you cannot solve the problem with the parent. And that's, something that has been happening to me in the past year. I'm doing so much work with my birth father in meditation, in person, actually only in person like a few times. But what I've had to recognize is that we can't go back to 1993 and me teach him that I needed love, that I was telepathic and could read his mind and knew that he wanted a boy. He had 3 girls. There's nothing wrong with that. But we can't go back. So I have to learn how to reparent my inner child and give her a safe space to deal with childhood sexualization. All the woke things that I did. But it's me learning how to radically accept myself and feel no shame over the decisions that I've made. Be cognizant of the fact that those decisions affected others. But know that I'm worthy of a healthy mind space, of someone who can hold space for me effortlessly. My healer now does incredible, incredible journey work. And the sessions that we do are so powerful that I receive everything that I need. And then it's, okay, when you've mastered this, then you come back. If I need an emergency session, I'll show up. I do a half hour. But there is no, okay, so I'll see you next week. No, you know where to find me. Same with my clients. I never, ever assume, okay, so I'll see you. Yeah, it's not like 2 for 2 and then like 1 for 3 and then every other. None of that. Absolutely not. This is what I'm saying. This is what your guides are saying. This is your astrological chart is what your soul contracted to come in and deal with. Yeah. And it helps you look at yourself. It is no one's fault. The world is not happening to you. You are the world. You are God having a human experience. The theory, the egg theory, you're the only one here. And when you start to speak from I statements and you start to find healers and therapists that are actively helping you help yourself. Not, oh, this person needs to deal with you. Oh, no, this person needs to use the pronouns. Oh, no, that's a psychosis. And I've been there. I've been there. And I also utilize, I'll leave you with some, leadership growth and development, which is if you wouldn't step into the shoes of the person in front of you, completely take over their life, don't listen to a single bit of advice. That very decorated gentleman therapist, wasn't exercising. I have no idea what they were ingesting for food, whether they were eating sugar or, genetically modified things, drinking fluoride, was their pineal gland calcified or not? I had no idea. So find someone that shares your values, not what their specialty is. I've seen that before on therapy websites. Like, I specialize in this. That's what they're curious about. That's what they're, on Safari researching. So you're not a client, you are, an experiment for them. You're someone that they're like, oh my God, I have this client and they're so you're part of their gossip, honey. You are. Let's see if my guides have anything that they would like to say. They would really love for all of us to journal their experiences and write them out. Write out your experiences with therapy, write out your opinions of what you've gone through, write out where you feel like you're repeating the same patterns, really brazen introspection right now. Brazen introspection is what I would recommend for you. They're also highlighting something that for some of this will be very specific. Some of you are in therapy right now and they would like you to take a break from that therapist and see how the therapist flounders. It's advice that I give to clients of mine if there's a deal going on during a Mercury retrograde, if you will. That's an accessible thing where you're like, oh, technology's off, Mercury retrograde. You don't have to know anything about astrology, but when Mercury's retrograde, do not sign a motherfucking thing. And so what I would give, the advice that I would give to my clients is, okay, so we know that you're an integral person, you have high integrity, and the person that you're shaking hands with also has high integrity, so a handshake means yes, we're gonna sign this deal. And you decide, say, okay, I know that we've shaken hands, but I would like to push back the signing maybe a week or two. It's just this. You don't have to say, my healer or my spiritual counselor is telling me this. You don't have to go woo-woo. You can just say, hey, can we push it back? I can't make that signing. And you see how their ears bleed and you see how they change immediately. There was a fine print. There was something put in. They were not being honest with you. So that's a tool that I'm offering for you right now. Maybe say that to your therapist. Say, I need to take a break from this. And see how their ego gets hit. Say, oh, what did I do? Did I do something? Is everything okay? Are we fine? Do we need an exit interview? What's going on? But you'll lose. You know, we have the referral for only so long, so we gotta do that. We gotta do that. So that is a way for you to kind of test my theories in this, if that's something that you're interested in doing. Or, you know, see when you started therapy, do some scripting on this and say, when I started therapy, this was my issue. Is that still your issue? If it is, then that is not the therapist for you. If you have the same problem that you did when you first started, and maybe by session 2 or 3, I'm not mincing my words. I'm like in no way discrediting how efficient healing happens when you see someone who's actually divinely qualified to hold space for you and offer you wisdom. A few sessions. That's it. That's it. And even in one, it will be more powerful. When you get your chart read, you have absolute, like everything's in there. Everything. So finding a healer, a spiritual counselor, an astrological chart reader that shares your similar values. Shares your similar values. And you can go into their public content and you can look at certain things that they discuss. Find someone who shares your similar values. When you do this session, I highly recommend you record it. You can even have them send you, or you don't have to be there for it. You can order and purchase a reading of your astrological chart and have that sent back to you. And you can see effortlessly what's going on and where the things are that need to be changed up. Yeah. It's very efficient work, and that's why so many people are very intimidated by it, because it is immediately the club lights are turned on in your own life and you recognize that you have been the problem the whole time, baby child. And it takes a lot of self-love and a lot of grounding and a lot of emotional maturity to really be able to handle, the world has not done this to me. I've just been repeating these patterns unconsciously, subconsciously, or completely consciously because of financial fear, anxiety, whatever it may be. That's irrelevant, the why, but all you need to do is change your mindset moving forward and gain access to the tools. I think that's all. It's been a big day. I'm really grateful for you all. This is a big, perspective, if you will. And the whole world is changing. And so much of what we are going to be coming to see is that the most authentic ones that are here to help are going to come in the times and the spaces where you need them the most. And if this information is in any way triggering for you, then it's meant for you. If it's too much, just scroll past my face. That's okie dokie. But if it has been triggering for you, I've spent thousands of dollars on therapy. So please, yeah. And I'm sure that there are really beautiful, qualified therapists that have integrated human design or astrology or energy makeups or the Enneagram, whatever it may be. But we're all very special. Yes, as human beings, we are the prophecy, we're very special, but we're all specific pages of the DSM-5. We are all just like the astrological wheel, just an amalgamation of 12 different types of beings. Or the Enneagram, whatever it may be. We're just a specific collection of those energies, of those lenses, as I always say. And there is a space for us on this planet. We are all individual puzzle pieces. We all have to come together to be the most authentic versions of ourselves. But it is no one's fault or problem that you're feeling the way that you're feeling. Not all your feelings are valid. You just have to look at your own makeup, love every bit of it, accept yourself, go through the stages of grief, and then move forward. And it's going to feel wobbly at first. I think last Monday's video was stay wobbly, everybody. We're trying things new. We're doing things different. Yeah. I love you. I'm very grateful for you all. Thank you so much for being here. Please share this video with anyone that you think could benefit from it, that could utilize some of this validation and information. And do not in any way, like I've heard the phrase before, and I'm going to leave you with this. I've had to break up with my therapist. I had to break up with my therapist. Yeah. Are you looking at that? Are you looking at that statement? Yeah. We can't amalgamize a parental figure, amalgamize with the ideal partner just with someone that's physically sitting in front of us. We can't. We have to start looking inside. I love you.